Hello. Happy Thursday. Hey, Rhiannon. Hey, Ziga. How's it going? Here we are again. We're going to keep working on what we were working on yesterday, which is going wide with our tile map update process, trying to get some additional threads assigned to that on the Godot side so that we can update the tile map layers very quickly. What we're hoping to do here. I'll update the radio in a second. I actually kind of want to look at some of these new stations. I don't want any of this. All right. So right at the end, we identified a problem, which is that this function that's like the core part of this task. We were executing it linearly, so we just had a member variable that we were passing through. We need to not do it that way now. So I gotta decide about that. I think the counts are also gonna have a problem. We'll see. We'll have to see. Oh yeah, I'm changing the radio. How's it going this fine Thursday? I don't like this. This get component call. Are we just using the component? I kind of want to change how that works, but you know, let's pick our battles. So what we need to do now is we need to think about specifically the tiles dictionary and the counts array. Don't think we can do it like this anymore. I need to give everyone their own data to use here. But we don't have to do this part. We wouldn't have to do either of these parts, so we should just say something like let's say variable counts equals this. Let's get rid of the member variable, actually. Rhiannon, it's going pretty good. You're getting ready for a potential snowstorm. Oh yeah, I heard there was a big storm gathering. Work has been more meetings today. You're evaluating several different vendors you need to be in the loop on. Thankfully, they were all this morning, so you're free the rest of the afternoon. Nice. How are things over there? Oh, they're all right. They're all right. Wednesday's my day where I don't have an evening co-working event. So I just settled in, got a nice dinner from a Korean place around the corner, and I watched a bargain bin Blu-ray I got, the original Clash of the Titans. That was fun. And then Here we are. Ziga, you're preparing for the potential ice storm this weekend in Georgia. Ooh. Yeah, be safe, etc. All right, so we're going to swap these out. All right, good. We were passing the counts in anyway. Where do we get the tile data from? Tiles. Are we passing that in too? Oh, we are. Neat. Hey, Nanigans. How's it going? I watched a little of your stream yesterday. I didn't have any audio on, so I just kind of observed, but it's cool. Some cool stuff going on over there. All right, so counts is easy. Tiles. Okay, so do I know what the capacity of tiles is going to be when I declare it? Because that would be nice. I want to avoid a bunch of reallocation. Do I generally not know, though? I guess it's not a consistent number, is it? Tiles for each, blah, 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 blah. So it's a filter, so we're filtering down, so I really don't know. Because we're not including tiles that are being cut away. So I actually don't know if I can do anything better about this. I could probably come up with a better data structure than just a dictionary, but like I could use a dense data structure, which would involve less allocation. Maybe not less allocation, but less often. It's a vector 4, and it's a tile. So let's get rid of this. I think the halls one we can keep. I'm not sure about doors. You're doing good. Totally goofed up the start of your stream. You're streaming for over 10 minutes with no audio and a black screen. Oof. That's fine. We've all been there. My very first VOD, I like left the intro on the wrong screen, so I like switch it immediately. It's like this great shame. It will always be there. I messed up my very first stream. And it'll always be like that. And episode 0 will probably always be the most watched episode, which is pretty funny. It's one of those things you just kind of shrug off. Especially if you're not storing the VOD somewhere. If you're not storing the VOD somewhere, then everyone will forget in like 60 days. When the VODs get deleted by Twitch. But it's cool. The work they're doing is very visual, and that's great for streaming. Alright, we're just going to do it like this. Now it should be thread safe. Yeah, we continue for multiple reasons, huh? Let's see what that does. You know what I want to do though is I've changed my mind about the priority that I want these tasks to execute at. I left them on low priority for some reason, and I realized I want them. I absolutely want them to be high priority. Even if that means to the extent we're like blocking the main thread to complete this. So let's make sure that we set high priority to be true. All right, now let's see what we got. There was some other error around the formatting of the tile map data, which is very possible. Shenanigans, yeah, you hadn't set up proper scenes. You were manually disabling your overlays. Accidentally disabled your desktop source and mic. Oh no. Yeah, definitely get some scenes set up. Okay, so things are not well. Things are not well here. Fine, we'll figure it out. So there's a bunch of stuff going on. Is it just a tile map data format issue? We're starting a bunch of threads. Actually, that makes sense. All right, let's figure out why our tile map data would be all messed up. We haven't messed with the conversion or the packing, so I'm assuming it's an unpacking problem. I'm going to presume that the changes I've made to the unpacking are messing everything up. So this is how it used to be. Get the pack data. Layer count is just whatever the initial value is. Just doing Twitches, store VODs for 7 days. It's 7 days unless you have turbo. If you have turbo, I think it's like 60 days. But yeah, I don't worry about that. You shouldn't either. Focus for today is the multi-threading stuff, only until we're able to fix it. But yeah, the focus for this week in general is just making the process of updating the block tiles like as high performance as possible, because that's something that should be occurring in just one frame. But we want to give it, the flexibility to maybe take 2 frames if it needs. So we're just trying to go wide on that, because I do think that's the bottleneck. I don't think the bottleneck is on the simulation side. I think it's on the getting everything back to the renderer side. And more threads should help that. I'm clearly messing up something when I changed how this works. So unpack tile map data, pack tile map data, pack byte array. We get the layer count. We have an array of layer sizes for each layer index in the range of the layer count. We append the layer sizes. We decode layer index times 2 plus 2. And that's our layer size at the specific layer index. Layer begins. Layer ends. So what we're doing is we basically cut out this first part, because now we're indexing. Now each layer is kind of doing its own thing. And so what we're doing now, it's more like this. So what could be causing a problem there would be my question. Hey, Sapphire. Yeah, I haven't touched my OBS scenes arrangement probably at all in the last 2 years since I initially set it up. It's one of those things like I think it's worth investing in getting that set up. So then it's just good forever. So each of these tiers has 3 tile map layers. What we do at the top is we append all of these layers in order. The layer count is the size of this array, right? You get the children, and we get the grandchildren. Those are the tile map layers. We receive the tile map data. We swap it out here, which is fine because it's just a reference. We add the group task. We give it a count, which is the layer count. That's the number of elements to process. We wait for it. Impact tile map data gets an index from group task. Just some number between 0 and the layer count. Exclusive. Sapphire, you're watching for your phone while you're laying down in bed for a bit. Nice, nice. The blankets were too tempting. They are in the winter. And again, definitely, you also need to better configure your audio setup. You just toss together the minimum to get online. Haven't set it up properly. Oh, yeah. I'm kind of lucky. I started with a different mic, but I've been using this Wave 3, which has a great software. The Elgato Wavelink. I know the Elgato is kind of like a questionable brand, but the Wavelink software is pretty good. I've actually looped all my audio through it, which lets me have a lot of control about the inputs and the outputs, so weird stuff doesn't usually accidentally happen. Like when we raid into somebody, we don't hear the person's audio. Lots of little things. It's definitely one of those, like, no reason to go all in at first. You kind of build up to it, but yeah. No, it's exciting. It's exciting. You'll do most of that stuff on the weekend, probably. That's great. Yeah, I want to do some YouTube stuff tonight at my co-working event. There's some YouTube stuff that we could be enabling right now, and I think we have enough people on YouTube now where it's worth it. I can apply for the lowest level of, like, YouTube partner or whatever. I think I'm going to do it. We'll get some new stuff on YouTube, like memberships. And whatever else. Rhiannon, you hate it when you trip and fall into your bed. It's funny. Oh, you have a weighted blanket? That sounds nice. Sapphire, did you? Nanigans was talking to a blank screen yesterday for like 10 minutes. Yeah, we were talking about that. That's funny. All right, so what do I think is going wrong? Probably this layer size thing. What do we care about layer count? So layer count is a member variable now. It's whatever this .decode u16 is. Hey, Sapphire on the 50 stream streak. Yeah, ship it for Sapphire. That's great. 5 ships for 50. Super great. Hey, Swiss Miss. What up? Crazy first message, but let's see what it is. Is this spec on a PC tower to play Sims 4 on? You have an AMD Ryzen 7 9800 X3D. Okay. You have an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070, 32 gigs of RAM. Pretty high speed RAM, DDR5, obviously. Okay, so you have like a crazy AM5 setup. That is a high-end computer spec list. That probably costs what? Yeah, you might struggle a bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how much would that rig be, probably? I'm thinking that's like a $3,000 computer rig. Pretty much with over half of that cost being the graphics card. That's crazy. 1,900. That's a good deal. Take it. I don't know if you're talking about dollars or euros or whatever, or I don't know what, but you can get, if you could get that rig for less than $2,000, yeah, go for it. That's great. You can do anything with that. Hey, Nix, your streak saver works? Hell yeah. Automate. If you're going to be doing something more than 3 times, automate that, right? Automate it. How's it going, Swiss Miss? Yeah, that's a good rig. If you can buy a computer like that, do it now. Do it now, because it is only going to get more expensive. The supply chain crunch around AI data infrastructure is really bad. So bad that NVIDIA is re-releasing the 3060 because those chips aren't used in AI infrastructure. So they have them. And the 3060 is like a 5-year-old graphics card. It's also liquid cooled. Got it at Costco. That game can run Crysis. Don't worry. Sims 4. That's funny. I mean, I don't know how unoptimized the Sims 4 is, but I don't think there's anything that game can't run, or that computer couldn't run. Turn the ray tracing up, get Battlefield 6 on there or whatever. The only real question is, can it play Doom? Costco is pretty cool. All right. So there's some kind of formatting error coming through here. I wonder what it is. Bytes. Casting it as shorts. Just gonna rename this. Not a computer nerd. You've been told it's a little strong to play Sim 4. It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be great for Sim 4. That is a computer. A 9800 X3D is pretty good. X3Ds are very good for games. They're specifically good for games. 5070. Yeah, you're set. The RAM count's a little bit low, maybe if you do video processing, but you know. That's what I did one with my computer. I ended up getting... I could not run 64 gig stick or 64 gig setup at the speed I wanted to, so I just stepped down to 32. And I was like, I don't do video editing. I don't care about that bunch. But yeah, it should be good. Peak, are we there yet, etc.? I know, it's like all the good stuff is pretty low performance. No, that's a killer PC. You should be good for the next, you know, 5 years at least. You might be able to wait out the rest of the supply chain crunch, you know? Oh, thanks for the follow, Swiss Miss. Appreciate that. Yeah, what do I think is going wrong with this tile map layer desync? Could be the data that's getting passed over is weird, or this process of us storing it. I'm thinking it has to do with this layer sizes thing. No, this seems pretty right. Layer count. If layer count is off, that could definitely be a trigger. For eye in range layer count. Oh, this is not how we do it. So we're going on a specific, so this is not I. So we actually got to get rid of this. So how do we know? So we actually build layer begins over time. So that's actually something we need to do. Is range inclusive or exclusive? N is exclusive. Okay. That's fine. So what we need to do is we need to say for I in range layer index. So we basically need to go from 0. Well, this isn't going to work. We could say if layer index is greater than 0. We can do this. Yeah, so we've been doing this iteratively, which is maybe the better way to do it as a single task. I wonder if it's too much to break this up by this much. But I kind of want to try it this way. I feel like this will be faster. I feel like it'll handle the work sharing part. I don't need to think about it that much. But what we need to do is we need to get the right starting point for this layer. What we've been doing is just adding layer size. Hold on, let me look at how we do this here. Yeah, those are top line specs for sure. Hey, Jacob, how's it going? Oh, the latest release of Wavelength works with non-Elgato mics. Oh, nice. Yeah, I like Wavelength. I have to restart it all the time. But other than that, it gets a little funky when the computer wakes up from sleep. But other than that, it's great. Yeah, RAM is a problem for sure, Sapphire. I had a hard time. I had to play around with Expo and XMP before, and it's not fun. Getting the advertised RAM speed out is not easy. I assume since it was a pre-built, they've already done that. Or Swiss Miss. Broken Brain Day, how's it going here? It's all right. We're working on multi-threading, which you know is always a trouble. Hey, Grayman, Ozzy, just popping in to say this project looks cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. I haven't shown anything today because we're working on some threading stuff. But yeah, we're working on an FTL-like kind of isometric 2D FTL-like style game. Appreciate you popping in here. Shenanigans. To be fair, if you install enough mods on The Sims and build complex enough structures, there is no such thing as recommended specs. Yeah. Yeah, there's this game I play with my friends called Mechabellum. It's like an auto battler. And it's crazy in terms of the visual fidelity, but they added in like a free-for-all mode, and they're very straight up. They're like, this game was not built to handle this. And even on my specs, I like have a hard time sometimes, depending on what's going on. It's crazy. Something like this will run on a potato, though, which is nice. Appreciate everyone hanging out today. All right, so I know what's going wrong. I kind of am tempted to set this up a little more simply. You know, let's try the easy thing first. We're going to try the easy thing first. Which is to not do this as a group task. No, let's do it as a group task. Who cares? I'm a little worried that just slicing off a single tile map layer is not worth it for a single thread, but you know, maybe it is, because we're running into major speed issues and we're only doing this 3 times. So I think splitting it up into just 3 threads will only give us 3 times the performance, and that's not sufficient. So let's go wide. Let's keep up our go wide plan. Okay, but what I need to do instead then, because I'm not iterating through all of these to figure out where the layer starts, I could do that cumulatively back here. Could I? Why are we setting shorts I to 0? Is this because I'm thinking it's back? Oh, this is back when we were reusing memory. I'm not gonna do that anymore. So for z equals 0, for w equals 0. So w is the number of layers, z is the number of levels, which I now call tiers, but I'm not gonna mess with that here. And then so for each of these, it's the counts times this. So yeah, I could, instead of having to iterate this could actually be a cumulative. You could say int sum equals 0. Actually, we could say starts. Next, you created another program in Java to read in the character, allow it to show the morph files, what they do. You added an option to show the vector of the data that the morph changes. You realized your rotation was not correct. You fixed that. The morphs work well in the debugger, but not in PZ. Ooh, I hate that. That's one of the issues with like trying to test for games. That's why I don't really trust standalone tests like TTD style or TDD style. Because I feel like the state of a game is so complex, it is so hard to test functionality in isolation in a meaningful way. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll say shorts this equals, so it counts z times layers plus w. W equals 0. Z is all the levels. Layers. These are constants, right? Why am I passing this in? Yeah, why the heck am I passing this in? Probably just to save on space. Let's not do that. So levels becomes block tier count. Layers becomes, what did it become? Tile layer count. I don't think we should have the constant here though, but whatever. Hey, Zhao, do you like Hot Pot? Yes, I do, actually. There's a hot pot place. There's a bunch of hot pot places around me. But there's one that I like to go to for special occasions with my partner. We really like it. Hot pot is good, especially this time of year. How's it going? You went to have hot pot alone last weekend? You loved it? Nice. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. You just settle in, right? Usually it's usually like all you can eat for like an hour and a half or something. It's really good. Hey, Magoo, you can't stay. Hope everything's well. It's great. Good to see you. I think Rhiannon, I think Swiss Miss's computer was a pre-built from Costco. But yeah, memory is definitely the most finicky part of a computer build today. Nowadays. What's my view on the Steam machine? I want one. I want one. I want one. My partner only plays games like from the couch, like couch style, like. And so I've got her set up to play games on like the Xbox through Game Pass and stuff. But she's also got a Steam library, and I would love a Steam machine. I know I could just build a computer, put it next to the Xbox, and I've got a couch computer. But the Steam controller 2.0 is probably the best part of the Steam machine, is honestly just the new controller. Yeah, I will get one. I'm concerned that they are going to delay it, and it is going to cost a crazy amount of money because of the current RAM supply chain issue. But yeah, Steam machine is looking good. Steam makes good hardware. I have the original controller, Steam controller. I have a Steam Deck. I'm not allowed to get another Steam Deck. I want one. I would like one of the OLED ones, but I've been banned. Not by Valve, by my partner, from just accumulating too many gadgets. If I can find a used one, maybe someday I'll grab it. But yeah, I love the Steam hardware. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bake in the start into these headers rather than just the size of the layer. Do I need this information for anything else? Like, do I actually need to know the size? I think I just am using it for pointing to the correct address, right? What do we use it for here? So layer sizes dot append. So yeah, this is just the size for the layer. So we just say the layer ends at that point. Is slice inclusive or exclusive? Inclusive beginning, exclusive end. Okay, so all we have to do is say, what's the starting point of this layer? That's the start. And then what's the starting point of the next layer? That's the end. However, what if we reach the last layer? There is no next layer. Ah, that's why I'm storing the sizes. Cool. Cool. So maybe what we're going to store is the end, not the beginning. How do I want to do this? How about the Steam VR headset? I don't know. I've never been into VR. VR does not do it for me. So I don't know. I've heard good things. I consider VR a dead end, technologically. Like the real goal is, the holodeck, right? The holodeck is not VR. It's AR. Beat Saber, though, Jacob. Yeah, I don't know. I never liked it. I had a friend who really enjoyed... They had the PlayStation VR, and they really loved playing, like, Elite Dangerous with it. Like the spaceship game. It seemed cool. I see you, Nix. All right, so the information I need is a start point and an end point so that I can do the slicing. That's all I need. So what I could do is continue to just store the sizes of each layer here. But what I think I want to do is store either the start or the end point. It would probably need to be the end point. So if I were to store the endpoint here, Half-Life Alyx was great. I haven't played that. I'm sure it's cool. I'm bitter about, you know, the first Half-Life property and, you know, over a decade to be some VR toy. So I'm bitter, but, you know, that doesn't detract from probably the good work they did. But yeah, VR is a technical dead end. It exists for now because we can't implement the holodeck. I mean, to be fair, a lot of things are technical dead ends, and we do them anyway for practical reasons, but yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the ergonomics of VR. I don't like anything about it. I don't like... I guess that's part of the ergonomics, but like your focus point is like 2 inches from your face for like hours at a time. It's really bad for you. It's like You think VR would be better, Nanigans, if it ever managed to get to a much more accessible price point? Yeah, it would be more successful. I don't know if it'd be better. I feel like the quality would actually get worse. Yeah, I don't think VR... People have been saying VR is going to happen since the 90s. I don't believe them. I think VR is vaporware. I think AR is the future, and I think a lot of people, and by people I mean corporations, are coming around to the idea that AR is the long-term solution. It's way less onerous on the user. All right, so what do I need to do here? So right now, all I'm doing is saving the size. We'll comment that out so I don't mess that up. But what I want to do is I want to say... So we'd say ends plus equals... Let's do it after the comment so I can actually read the comment. Ends plus equals convert. Do I need to convert? I don't need to convert yet. I could just say ends plus equals counts z times tile layer count plus w times bytes. I don't need to actually... No, yeah, I do. Times bytes per tile plus bytes per layer. And then we would just say shorts 1 plus z times tile layer count plus w equals convert to int 16 ends. I could say ends at. This should be fine. So then what we're storing here now is actually the point, the byte. Or hold on a second. Counts. Blah, 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 blah. AR for gaming is a gimmick. In your opinion, there's a few specific businesses cases for AR, but it's a niche thing. You might be thinking more particularly about what AR means than I do. To me, AR just means digitally augmenting the space you're in. And right now we're limited to doing that with like glasses and other tricks. It's basically VR, essentially, most AR solutions, but I'm thinking of the long term, and to me, if I think of the holodeck, I put that under AR. And I don't consider the holodeck niche. But yeah, when you're talking about realistic current applications, which is probably why AR hasn't blown up, right? We don't have the technology to manipulate the environment like that. Hey, LS, AR is overlay over reality. Yeah, exactly. And right now, the overlay needs to come from like something you wear or something you look through. Like you look through your phone and it like it shows you a Pokemon in the grass, right? That's like currently where AR is, but we're gonna get to a point where we have emitters and things. We have emitters and holographic displays and things like that, and you aren't gonna need to carry around some kind of lens. People will just be augmenting the environment around you. You can see that to an extent if you've been to like a museum that has directional speakers, which are really fascinating. Like you walk up to like a painting and like you hear a voice crystal clear all of a sudden that you didn't hear 3 feet away. That's like telling you about the painting. But if you walk away from the painting, you don't hear the voice anymore. Like, there's some crazy stuff that's being done. But yeah, I think this whole end user carries a rig around with them that provides them with this kind of augmented or virtual reality. That part is not the part that's gonna survive. The wearables. I think wearables are a gimmick, is what I think. All right, I'm done. Slash rant. But yeah, if I had to summarize my position, it's that wearables are a gimmick. And that any real innovation is going to happen after that, once we get past wearables. Assuming we do, and the world doesn't end before then, but... All right, so we got ends at, so we're using a running counter. So what's the consequences of this? Of doing it this way? Because this is an inclusive end, but I want an exclusive. Should I just do +1 at the end? Or would it be +2? You don't think we'll ever get to that point of holodecks, sadly? Well, it's one of those things of like, will civilization collapse before we do it? If that's not true, we'll eventually get there, right? That's a bigger conversation that I'm not going to get into. From a day-to-day thing, you're sacrificing bulkiness and more obnoxious interactions. Likely a more complex, expensive device just to do most of what your phone already can. Oh yeah, no, I think all wearables are trash. And honestly, in my mind, that includes phones. I love the line from Hermes in Futurama when he realizes that he's like, oh, they have phones in booths now, and he just throws his phone into the garbage. We're going to come around to the point where we want to go back to having installations, where we want to have our devices like built into part of the environment instead of this thing that has to go travel around with us. I think we'll head in that direction again. But yeah, a lot of technology needs to be developed before, you know, we're talking about holographic emitters and whatever BS. But yeah, I just can't get excited about VR and AR in its current format. I even get tired of just holding up my Steam Deck for, you know, hours at a time. The ergonomics of a device are so important. All right, so I think this will work. I don't know. I was too busy ranting to actually, you know what's going on. What's this indices thing? Ah, I see. All right. So if we do this, if we do it like this. Everything's already locked up for the ultra wealthy Nicks. Homes, healthcare, iPhones. Let's add holodecks to the list. Why not? All right, so what we're going to be doing now, this is the wrong script. I don't know. Maybe I do just do this thing where we iterate through the range and calculate the position. So what it should be is layer begins is it's this. Actually, you know what we could do? Instead of having to like imply the layer count times 2 + 2 thing, let's do the same thing here. So we'll just say we can say block tier count times tile layer count. Do we even need to do this? Actually, it would be like this. +1. Because we're accounting for this. And so after that, we are just adding this number. I don't know if I care about this part. This initial header with the in the 0th index. At the moment, that used to just be the layer count. I kind of want it to just be the memory where the header ends. Oh, this is actually more complicated than I'm giving it credit for, huh? Yeah, what if we change this? What if we, instead of doing this... What if instead of recording this here... Alright, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads, everybody. So we're considering changing the header of the packed tile map layer data that we're sending over. It used to be the size of the amount of data in each layer. What I want to do, I think now, is I want to record the end of it. Or maybe something like the next... Maybe I want to record the index of the next element. No, I can't do that because we would go out of bounds at the end. I can just record where this layer ends, or where this piece of data ends. So yeah, 0 does still need to exist. So it's 0. We want to basically describe the endpoint of the header here. I actually don't know if we need to do that. No, we do. We do. Actually, can I do this differently when we do the slice? What does slice do? Because if I can leave off the endpoint and it just manually plugs in the endpoint, we can do this a little differently. Okay, packed byte array dot slice from begin inclusive to end exclusive as a new packed byte array. The absolute value of begin and end will be clamped to the array size. Okay, so the default value for end makes it slice to the size of the array by default. Great. Okay, so I actually don't need to find the end. Okay, that actually changes what I can do here. So I actually don't need to tell it where it ends. I can actually just record where it starts. Okay. So short 0 would just be 0. Oh no, short 0 would not be 0. Short 0 would be this. Would it? Yeah, because it starts at block tier count times tile layer count. So we'll say starts. Say this. Plus 1, right? And then so short 0 would just be convert to int16 starts. You could also make it a little longer. I'm having a very unhelpfully brief variable naming convention in this function. I always find I ping pong back and forth between unhelpfully short variable names and incredibly long verbose variable names. Kind of matters how like obscure this thing is. What does headers do? Convert into a constant. Oh yeah, that should be a constant. Determine the starting index within the packed data for each layer. Okay. Count doesn't. Can I use this? Why am I doing this again down here? Why do I have to do this multiple times? Determine the starting index within the packed data for each layer. Yeah, this is what I want. Index. Headers. Okay, wait. So this is wrong. Headers plus 1. So headers is... I don't like writing it like this either. Plus 1. Have that at the end. Actually, I guess the headers isn't the plus 1, is it? So headers is like this. And then the index is... Starting index is headers plus 1. Okay, the indices is an array of this size. Indices I equals index. Index plus equal counts I times 6 plus 1. So the times 6 is the number of fields that the tile stores. The 1 I guess the 1 is for something. Count is index. Bytes per tile. Oh, I am encoding this as bytes, huh? That is something I do. I feel like I could do this once. I guess I need to know the count somehow. I guess this is important. Determine the starting index within the packed data for each layer. So the headers takes up this space. Yeah, I guess that should be a const. Header count, tile header count. The tile layer count times block tier count times tile layer count. The data starts here. And then these are the indices within this. Yeah, I should be able to just use this again, huh? I shouldn't need to do all of this calculation again. So the index of the actual tile map layer data is the tile header count plus 1. For each within this, it's not really the tile header count. I guess it's the tile layer count. It's actually the full tile. Yeah, maybe we just do it like this. Maybe we don't have a... I'm not going to make a constant for that. I changed my mind. We'll just do that. Go through the indices. We go through each of these. The indices I equals index. So here it starts with that. And then we add the counts I times 6 plus 1. What is the plus 1 for? Plus 1 doesn't seem right. Or I guess it's the index of the next one. So we do this. Oh yeah, I guess we need plus 1 because we want to get to the index of the next set. So if there's like... We start at 0. There's 10 of these things. We want to end up on 11. We start at 0. I get to 11. Just add the counts. Yeah, this plus 1 seems wrong, but it's been working up till now, so I'm a little hesitant to get rid of it. Means I'm not understanding some idea here. Oh, that's because even if the counts is 0, like there's no data here, there is still... Actually, that's not true. It's not true. We don't waste a space for the 0, for the dataless layer. Or do we? What do we do if the layer is empty? We don't actually have a process for that, but it kind of just works. I want to understand how slice works a little better. Maybe that's what the 1 is for. All right, let's look at some tile map layer data. Some tile map data. Tile map layer data. Raw tile map data is a byte array. CPAC byte array. I love this. The way values are encoded is an implementation detail and shouldn't be relied upon when interacting with external apps. What if I just wanted an empty one? I don't really know how we're managing this. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe instead of passing something, we can just do a check where we can be like, is it empty? Well, then just clear the one that we have. Or something. Can I make an empty pack byte array? Constructs an empty one. Yeah, I think that's what we just do. We just pass an empty one. We watched River of Souls last night. You just got one movie left, Call to Arms. Nice. River of Souls, that's not the one that sets up Crusade, is it? Let me see about this. Babylon 5. Oh my god. Martin Sheen's in this. Oh, I remember this. It's the Soul Hunter movie. Crazy that Martin Sheen plays the Soul Hunter. I have not seen the animated one. The new one. Is Call to Arms the one that sets up Crusade? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Cool. Yeah. We'll have to talk Babylon 5 soon. All right, so I think I was doing something here which I don't really want to do. Bytes per layer. Oh, so a layer... Okay, this is me not understanding quite how tile map data layers work. So there is... Oh, it's the format. The format is each layer has a header, which is a format. Right, that's why it's counts times 6 plus 1. Thank you, constant bytes per layer, for helping me out here. Okay, so that's correct. So this already is recording the starting index of each of these. And we're getting it so that we can declare a array that's the right size, which at the moment is count. Yeah. Right? Okay, and then so when we actually want to encode it, we can say, we actually don't need any of this junk, do we? We should be able to just take the index, the indices array. So what we need to do first is we need to... Right, so we need to record down here. We need to say, instead of incrementing this, we can just say shorts. We don't need the 1, I don't think. The 1 is because originally we had a... We originally had a thing that said what this was. Maybe we should still include that. I'm torn about having the initial header be the layer count. That would fix some errors, but maybe it also doesn't matter. Hey, Pheasant SC2, have a great stream. Thank you. You're done working for the day next. Time to play some OSRS. It's like you're built for punishment. Your old school RuneScape. All right, don't you just love multi-threading? Isn't multi-threading just the most fun? I know this isn't multi-threading, but this is some stuff we're having to change. Look, you can't punish yourself at work. You have to do it yourself at home. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's what happened to me during the pandemic. I got furloughed. I didn't know how long at the time, right? You know, it was a crazy time to be alive. I get furloughed the same as everyone else. And WoW Classic had come out recently, and I was like, I'll get into that. And I very quickly... all of the time that I would have spent working, I had spent on WoW Classic. And I quit. I'm glad they called me back to work after 3 weeks, because I was like, I had to just drop it, because I realized that I'd replaced work with slightly different work. It was a fun 3 weeks, though. Or 2 weeks, or whatever it was. 2-3 weeks. I was very lucky. I only missed a few weeks from work. I know some people were furloughed for months or even just got laid off. Luckily for me, I was an essential worker, you know? No, I wasn't. All right, so what we're going to do... we're just going to record the starting index for each layer. So here we'll say shorts. We'll say convert to int16. We'll record this as a short. Does this need to be recorded in its counts? Okay, it's this. It's this thing. We say counts. Actually, no, we're going to get rid of this 0, right? Because we're going to not have a big old header. We've decided. Decided we're not going to have a header. What we're going to do instead is we're going to say basically this. We're actually not doing much different than this, except we're getting rid of the 1. We're going to say Z times tile layer count plus W. We're going to say convert 1016 counts this, counts for this layer, times the bytes per tile, plus the bytes per layer. But this is the end point, not the start point, right? This is where it starts. And then it will end at the next one. Yeah, so we are recording the endpoint. Because we're... Oh, wait, no, we need to run... Oh, no, I don't want to record counts. I want to record indices. I don't care about counts. I care about indices. I think. Yeah, I want to record indices, but I want to do the same thing. I want to say Z times tile layer count plus W. Yeah, there are games that I like to play that I don't really play very much because they do feel like work sometimes, you know? Like Factorio. I love Factorio. But, you know, when I spend my day on, like, systems architecture and all of this stuff, my desire to go play Factorio is usually very low. You love Factorio, Sapphire? Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like my desire to play Factorio is like inversely proportional to like how much programming I've been doing lately. How much systems design and stuff. Because I think it works the same part of the brain when you're like building out factories and stuff and designing supply chains. So instead of the counts, we're going to be storing the indices. And so here at 0, we would be storing the indices at 0. The indices at 0 is just the index. The index is just the block tier count times the layer tile count, the tile layer count plus 1. So that's the index of the first actual tile map data after the header. And then what we do is we just increment each index by that counts. So this way, even if the indices is the same, we're still incrementing because we have to store one piece of data for each. And that piece of data is just the tile map format, which is honestly just a 0, which is kind of annoying, but it's what the tile map needs. It needs a tile map data array that's got at least that one initial value that says what format we are, even though it's always 0. And again, so you get that. You're the same way with a lot of games. Yeah. And honestly, just the amount of time I have, I play like a 20-minute, 30-minute series of like Mechabellum. I might get to play 2 of those. On the weekends, I maybe get an hour or 2 to play something a little longer. And when I do that, I'm usually trying to play games with my friends. Try to get in a little Cosmeteer or Void Crew. We've been playing Void Crew lately. That game's fun. Not Void War, Void Crew. That game has been fun. Sapphire, you think it's pretty safe to say the Factorio is the game that you put the most hours into? I could maybe say that myself. And I haven't beat that game yet. I get too preoccupied to ever actually finish that game. I love that game, but I also get really annoyed at it because it's kind of up to the player to set up all to set up all the scenario stuff that they want. It's kind of like you have to come up with the game you want to play. Like in terms of like the distribution of resources, how hard is it to do research? What are the enemies like? Like you have to figure out which game you want to play. Much like RimWorld, you have to figure out which version of the game you want to play, and then you have to play it. And it's usually a long process to learn which version of the game you actually want to play. Can I just reuse index for this? I could. Say index equals this. Say shorts index indices index. we could also say index equals. This is confusing. Sapphire, you think you just like open sandbox games in general? Yeah. Nix, no. First, you got to figure out which mods you want to use. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Nanigans, you like various basic automation games, but once they start to get into that level of complexity and depth, it just feels like a different type of programming. That is exactly how I feel about it. You like yours is a Baldur's Gate 3. Now you're going through and playing Divinity Original Sin 2. Nice, nice. Not playing much on your own anymore. Doing another BG3 playthrough with one of your friends. Just got a PC. Nice, nice. You're playing Divinity with your wife. That's great. Yeah, my desire for big single-player games has like kind of dwindled. Which is weird because I'm making a big single-player game. I think that's kind of maybe a natural part of the process, though. I'm reusing this index variable a lot. That's fine. Use it. Use it or lose it here. Make sure I'm not accidentally ever using it before I reassign it. All right, so this should work. We're restoring, instead of restoring the size of each layer, we're storing the index that layer starts at. You're just leveling up mining. That is literally my memory of playing old school RuneScape, so it's nice to know it hasn't changed. I saw Pirate Software playing that game on hardcore a while ago. That seemed crazy. Can't imagine wanting to do that. Now that we got talking about it, you think you're gonna go play some Factorio right now? That's funny. You're working on a system with circuits that makes items requested through logistics network. Currently is in storage. Ooh, that's nice. I've done almost nothing with the logistics network because at that point you really are just programming. My systems are usually very dumb. I like playing Rail World, Death World things. Like I love it when a sandbox game pushes back against you. I have no for some reason if I play a sandbox game and there's no antagonism to it, like Satisfactory. When I played Satisfactory, in my mind there was no meaningful pushback against what I was doing. And so I just lost interest in that game so quickly. But to me, part of the charm of Factorio is that it's like, it's really pushing back against you all the time. Why do I have this count declaration? Do I need to have a value for that? I don't. I can just use this. Get rid of this whole thing. Be very careful about using this thing. Because the index of the next element, when we get to the end, that's just the size of the array. Which actually means this should be pretty easy to do. I just have to be careful I'm not reading outside of the memory. Okay, I think this side of it is good. I think we're good here. I think this will work the way I want. I think now I need to rewrite the... I think I need to rewrite the unpacker code now. Sorry if I'm going kind of slow. Not that we're on a timetable. So we can get rid of all of this stuff. We don't need to read any of these things. All we need to do is know what layer index we're interested in. Layer begins. We don't need to know any of this. We don't need to know anything about this. Don't need I. We would say block layers. We'd say layer index. Yeah, the bug variety that I've gotten interested in is Death World at low evolution. So that there's tons of bugs, but they're not like the crazy endgame bugs. Because my experience is on the normal course, you're like, the bug evolution, it just gets out of control. And I want like huge numbers of enemies. I want to be like fighting these waves, but I don't want them to have to be like pushing my... I want them to be draining my resources, not pushing me along the tech tree very super fast. I mean, we'd get to max bugs eventually. I just wanted to slow down the evolution. Getting wrecked by like a small number of high-tech bugs is like not fun to me. I like to really strain the resource production in that game. Like, I usually play with no solar panels, so it's like only steam engines, and I usually play with no lasers. I have a bunch of weird, like everyone does, you set up a bunch of you set up your own goals, right? A lot of games are like that. You need to create your own fun. You need to decide, you have to determine what victory is, right? What success means. I'm talking about Minecraft crafting and stuff. I have a friend that's been playing some Minecraft modification variant that actually is like Factorio. Like, it's like all these crazy machines and production pipelines and stuff. It's crazy to watch. I haven't gotten into that stuff. Man, no one's told me to hydrate today. I'm like dying. Thanks, Nix. All right, so what we want to do now, so we've got our index. We have our we have our packed tile map data. It's weirdly difficult to say. What we need to do is we just need to know when the layer begins and when the layer ends. So we can say layer begins. I guess the layer index is kind of like where it starts, but we are using that for something else. So layer begins at packed tile map data dot decode U16 layer index. So we just want the layer index. We want to know where it begins. Oh, decode underscore U16, duh. And then the end is, it's going to be packed tile map data dot decode U16 layer index +1 if layer index So we can just get where the next one starts, but if we're at the end, it needs to be here. Let's do it the other way. Let's say 0 if layer, not 0. Let's say packed tile map data dot size if layer index is equal to how do I know what this count is supposed to be? Oh, we know the layer count. Layer count -1. Else packed tile map data decode U16 layer index +1. Hopefully that's safe. Hey, Sapphire, thanks for the stretch. Reverse drinking problem, LS Dev. Yeah. Not drinking enough. It's terrible. Nanigans getting wrecked by a large number of bugs is yet again just programming in a different trench code. Yeah, seriously. I just need those low evolution bugs, you know what I'm saying? Keep them manageable. All right, I don't need to know the layer size. I don't need to modify any of this. Don't need to do this either. So it's really just this. We figure out when the layer ends, we figure out where the layer starts, where the layer ends. Actually, you know, we could do this differently. We could say if layer index is equal to, well, we could say if it's less than layer count -1. We can do it like this. You know what we could do? Instead of being cheeky like this, we could record double the number of headers. But this seems fine. I don't mind being cheeky. Layer ends. Say variable layer ends int equals. LS, have you seen the Michael Hendricks series on him doing 100x research costs with biters? Well, that's crazy. He has to resort to some crazy shenanigans involving manipulating the AI. That's funny. No, I've never done that. I've done like 8x research cost. That's like, I think the sweet spot for me. 100x sounds insane, especially if like some other things are left normal, like Bite or Evolution or whatever. No, I haven't watched a lot. I watched some time lapses of people playing Factorio, but I haven't really watched any Let's Plays. Data. It's packed. No, I don't need to do that. What am I doing over here? Layer begins, layer ends. What are you complaining about here? Oh, we'd say else. We just don't include the end. It's a little silly, but I think this is fine. I guess this is only run once. It's not in a loop, so yeah, easy. I kind of don't want to declare a variable for it. In fact, I probably shouldn't declare a variable for any of this stuff. I don't think it matters. The compiler knows. I feel like in GDScript, I often declare a variable just so I can read the fucking code. Without having to like go way off the edge. I'll be like, oh, I'll name this variable that I'm going to use once. Because GDScript specifically is weird to do. GDScript's just weird. Will this work maybe? Maybe? It might. It might. Let's figure out how this is going to fail on us. Let's see what we forgot. The Reconciler research alone cost him 1 million of RGB science. That's crazy. Space age science. All right, so that's still not working. Format is still wrong. Corrupted tile map data. Tiles might be missing. Interesting. Wonder what's causing that, huh? What do we get any better information if I run it from here? I doubt it. Oh, yeah, no, we do get better information. Condition begin greater than end is true. What? So are we slicing and the ending, the beginning is greater than the ending? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, it's not layer index. It's layer index. Or no, it's here. Okay, no, it is correct. So we've got our layer somewhere between 0 and layer count. Pack tilemap data dot decode. We decode. We decode the number here at the index in the header. The layer index is less than the layer count minus 1. So if we're not at the end, then we define the layer end as whatever the number is here plus 1. So it's we basically end at the starting point of the next layer, which is correct. And then the block layers at this layer index, we say dot tilemap data equals packed tilemap data dot slice. Layer begins, layer ends. Slice. So we're slicing up the data. Let's just put a breakpoint here and see what we get. See what kind of weird stuff is going on here. Layer index 0. Layer begins 2318. Well, that's wrong. Layer ends 66659. Also wrong. Layer counts 192. Packed byte array size 770. 14, 9, 26, 9, 38, 9, 50, 9, 62, 9, 74, 9, 9, 9. Okay, so there's something horrible happening in the encoding. That's fine. Let's figure that out. I did mess around with a lot of this. They're calling for a potential risk of exploding trees west of the Great Lakes this weekend due to the storm coming. What causes a tree to explode? Oh, so how's it going, LSDev? I didn't say hi. You lived in some pretty cold temperatures. Can't say you've ever heard of that happening before. Yeah, I don't understand. All right, so what am I doing here that's just absolutely horrible? So we get our counts. Our counts are just the number of tiles. So index is block tier count times tile layer count plus 1. Yeah. Indices is an array that's sized as block tier count times tile layer count. Yeah. For each of those layers, indices I equals index, and then index gets the count added to it times. Oh, the count is in short, not byte. Does that matter? No. I don't think so. Maybe that does matter. Oh. It is in byte. So yeah, indices I is not index. It's this times this plus this plus 1. So it's all of this times the size of a short. Actually, no, we can do that later. We can do the short part later, I think. What I don't understand is why things are getting reset. Index equals the... What is this? Sapphire, you've had trees explode before, quote unquote. An ice storm coating the trees in ice. Then when the sun comes out and heats up, the trees expand and they explode the shell of ice. Oh, that's cool. That sounds like a spell. That sounds like a frost wizard spell. Sounds cool. All right, so I'm getting mixed up somewhere between the short and the byte. All of this counting is happening just at a tile level, which is fine. Counts. So index is this. Counts is this times 6 plus 1. I don't love the magic number here, but I know what it means. It's how many of these are there? So here we're creating this times the size of a short. So is there a reason not to... Shorts, index plus 0. Index plus 1. Index plus 2. Index plus 3. Index plus 4. Index plus 5. Oh no, so here we're operating on shorts. Right. These are shorts. So that indexing is correct. What's probably not correct are the counts. The counts are also being per tile, but the counts need to be per byte. Should it just be index times 2? Should I just do that? I mean, what I could say is index times unsafe.size of short. But I know that's 2. So... say integer size. I'm already in the unsafe area. Here, let's try to minimize the amount of magic numbers here we've got. Okay, so we're going to restore them all in byte. These are the byte counts. The counts for the bytes, not the anything else. And here, so we wouldn't need to multiply this twice though. So we can do that. We can just say that. So we're counting regularly. And then when we add it, we multiply it by 2. This might help. This probably isn't the whole problem, but it's probably a significant part of the problem. Although we also do this part. We say indices times bytes per tile. That's maybe not right either, though. Shorts, index... indices, index times bytes per tile plus bytes per layer. Maybe we should be doing this earlier in terms of the counting. Yeah, I've tried to reduce duplication of effort by reusing this thing, since this is kind of what we're doing now, but I'm clearly messing up part of the conversion, which is fine. I'll figure it out. We got plenty of time left. We're about to head into our second ad break here. Drink some water. Add the layer count and layer sizes as a header to the pack data. So we're not going to do it like this anymore. Starting indexes. Add the layer starting indexes. Oh, you know what is maybe happening here? Shorts, convert indices. No, that's exactly what we're doing. I don't know why we have consts down here. So we can just count it all, and then when we put it in here, we can multiply it by 2, basically, by the size of the short. And in fact, instead of doing this, we could do it like this. Let's get these out of here. This here. So the size of the first layer is this. The size of each layer after is added by this. So we'll say times. So we'll say counts. We'll say times bytes per tile plus bytes per layer. No more magic numbers. So it's the actual tile count times the bytes per tile plus the bytes per layer. And we'll add that on the next pass. Should we just do this slightly more? Should we just go over by 1 so I don't have to care anymore? I'm kind of tempted to do that. Although counts will actually exceed counts, huh? Yeah, no, let's not do that. That's stupid. Here, we could do it like this, though. Let's say indices. All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads. All right, so we're adding an extra one, which is actually the end of the whole thing. It's fine. That could be useful, actually. Actually, will this work? This may or may not work. All right, so now when we're down here, we're not going to do any of this multiplication stuff. We're just doing this. In which case I'm tempted to just do it like this. here, because these are shorts. Oh, but now, see, now here's the problem. Now I messed everything up. Because these need to be done. These indices need to be the actual values in shorts. And then when I record them, I'm just going to multiply them by 2. So here's what we're going to do. So we're not going to multiply this by that. We actually need to keep this in a different frame here. So indices, we'll do this plus 1. You know what? No, we're not going to do that either. Well, maybe we can. I want to try to have as little branching behavior actually in the multi-threaded part of this as possible, and if that means doing a little extra work here, I think that's worth it. So this is new byte. It's going to be index. So this is the length. Okay, we're not doing this multiply thing here. Just doing this. But it is times 6 plus 1. We're back to that. We'll add all of this. So we go through here. We're casting the bytes to a short, which is very cheap because it's just a span. And that's why we need to remain. That's why all the indices need to be based on the short count, not the byte count. And here is where we add, say, index equals this thing. Just to save us some effort here. By effort, I mean vertical line space or horizontal line space. So it's this times bytes per layer plus bytes per tile. This is maybe part of my problem here, this bytes per tile thing. We're not really, oh no, we are accounting for that. Index plus equals. Oh, no, so it's not this. It's indices times the size of... Indices, this, plus equals 6. What the heck is this? This can't be right either. Why are we doing that? Oh, because we're filling it in. Right, we're filling it in. Yeah, let's try it. I don't think it's going to be right, but, you know, it'll be wrong in a new way. Hey. Oh. We crashed. I was about to say, I was like, hey, no errors. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Okay, I can work with that. Let's understand what's going on here. Counts. Int. 192. Yeah. Editor blocks. Tiles. Count. 3. So there's one block we're trying to render. Hey, Alex, how's it going? Did you miss something? Not really. Outside the bounds of the array. I know, that's like all... I don't know if I actually get errors other than that. You're heading out for the night? Alright, see you, Sapphire. Yeah, keep that streak going. You hate when Twitch gives a player error. Yeah, the Twitch app seems to be kind of annoying. Or if you're on the web, the reload player error, that's also annoying. For sure. How's it going, Alex? I see you working on your stuff in the Discord. It's looking good. All right, so index 201. All right, that's 64 times 3 plus 2. Yeah, right? 192. 192 plus 2. Shouldn't it be 195? Why is it 201? Oh, because this value, this is changing values all the time. Never mind. Ignore me. Indices, int. Yeah, int 193. There we go. That's the correct value. We can't actually trust that because we're being lazy and we're reusing this variable like everywhere, which I probably shouldn't do. It actually makes it hard to debug. I maybe should stop doing that, but it's fine. Indices. I could look at this array. 200, 207, 208, 215, 216, 217. So you can tell when a layer is empty because it just increments by 1. So layer 0 has a tile in it. Layer 2 also has a tile in it, which makes sense. So layer 0 and layer 2, or level 0, like tier 0 and tier 2 both have tiles in it, which makes sense because if you have a tile, you also have the preview tile usually on top of that tile. Actually, that's a little weird. That actually doesn't make sense to me. Especially when the only tile is at 0, 0, 0. Okay, so maybe there's something wrong here. Counts. What does counts look like? Counts is 1, 1, 1. Oh, curious. Oh, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. 1, 1, 1 makes sense because that's by layer. That's not by tier. I'm getting mixed up. This is purely by layer. So it goes X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. So if you have one block at 0, 0, 0, you would notice on the layers, you'd notice a block at X, Y, Z, which is 1, 1, 1. But then why is it being weird here? Why does indices look like this? Why does it go from 200 at layer 0 to 207 at layer 1 and then to 208 at layer 2? That's wrong. Okay, let's see about that. Let's see about them apples. You finished the stuff you were working on. Didn't take long, thankfully. Oh, nice. Very nice. All right, so something is happening up here already. For I is 0, for I is less than this. Indices I is index. So index starts as this, which is correct, which is 193. This would be 192, 193, 194. We're getting at 194. Why is that? Oh, because that's the number of headers that I want. Well, this says it's 193. Oh, but the next one would be 194, right? So 194 should be the initial index. So we say indices I is this. So why is 0 not at 194? Okay, so there we already have something weird happening here. Oh, because of this times 6. Indices I equals index. Index plus equal counts I times 6 plus 1. $200 is wrong. It's supposed to be the start. Right. I want to actually put a breakpoint here and see what happens. Okay, I is 0, indices 193, index 194. So what's your value here? 194. So we're rewriting this at some point, I think. Otherwise, this shouldn't happen. Let's continue. Resume. Let's go to the next one. Index is 195. Oh, index should not be 195. Counts at 0 should be 1 times 6 plus 4. Oh, I'm going to start this over. Debugging. Everyone's favorite thing to do. I know everyone just loves the debug. All right. So counts at 0 is 0. Oh, this is an interesting use case. Okay, so it seems to work when there's nothing here, which is nice. So this is 190. It starts at 194, right? And then okay, 195. Okay, etc., etc. All right, I'm gonna remove the breakpoint. We're gonna execute this again. Well, it seems to work when it's empty, but if we... Yeah, so we got a block here. Tiles count 3. Counts as 192. Okay, and then we pop down in here. Oh. This times this. So this would say 190. This would be at index 192. $404. Yeah, this is wrong. This is wrong in a couple of ways. You can head out. Take it easy. See you later, Nanigans. All right, so this indices array is getting messed up somehow. Counts are all right. So everything coming in is good, but something's happening here. Let's see what's going on here. So we create a bytes array that's 404. Index. Zero, 132, 1, 132, 1, 161, 1. There's no way for me to scrutinize that, but 404 is almost certainly not the right number. Maybe it is, though. At least let's see. So what it should be is it should be 192. Why is it plus 2? So we need 192 plus well, 192 times 2 plus since we've only got we've got 3 layers. So that's 18. Oh, no, that's 12 times. So 384 plus 36. Only 40. It's only 408. Yeah, something's weird here. Something's very weird here. Appreciate everyone hanging out today. I know this is kind of a grindy, boring kind of stream today. Sometimes we're doing fun stuff, and sometimes we're hunting down out of bounds errors and allocations and conversions. This is game dev. All right, so the initial index. Yeah, I regret reusing this everywhere. It's making it hard to debug it. Here, let me fix that. Well, maybe not. I'll continue to be lazy until I can't. Okay, so the starting index. Block tier count times the tile layer count. That's the number of tile map layers we have. We say +2 because there is an extra index that we're including in this array over that. Because here, when we declare this array, it's block tier count times tile layer count +1. And then index has another +1 because that's the starting point of the next thing. With the starting point. So here at I equals 0 for each layer. So for layer so for this one, we set this up as the starting point, and then for each one after, we go through, we look at the counts for I. Go through the counts list. I kind of want to phrase this as 1 plus whatever the counts is. Because it's 1 for the layer. The layer just needs a value. It's always 0. Am I not doing that also? You know what I'm probably not doing is I'm probably not doing that. For each tile and tile values. Oh no, because it is 0, so I just need to make space for it. Right. So the starting index is 1 plus whatever the count is for this tile times 6. And then at the end, we record this one more time because that basically gives us the... It should give us the size of the final byte array. That seems to be somewhat mistaken. So maybe that's where it is. Maybe I'm a little wrong about how I'm doing this count. Because yeah, down here we've gotten down to let's see where we are. So we're on level 0, we're on layer 2. Layer 2 is the Z level, I think. Source ID is 2, Atlas chords is 0, all tile is 0, tiles count is 3. So what we do here is we say our layer is 2, level is 0. What's the -1 for? Oh, you know what maybe shouldn't be here? That -1. Although, I don't know. That doesn't line up with what I'm seeing. So shorts, let's look at the shorts. So for the shorts, first index here is 88, 02, 16, 30. Okay, so here it's correct. We start with 88. I think that's about right. Because if we say 194 times 2, that's 388. That's where we want to be because we have 192 layers. We have one extra value for where the end of it is, which we're just using just to make it easier to slice later. We're like recording the end of the array at the end of that header. That gives us 193 values here. And then we want to know the first index after those 193 header fields. So we add a 1. That's the index of our first real value. Then we multiply by 2 because it's in byte form. So 388. So that is the correct start. So it's not like we're reading into the wrong part here. So we start at 388, and then each one should be, if there's only one tile in each layer, then we add 14 to that. So like 388 and 14 gives us 402. 402 and 14. So it should be 402. It should be 388, 402, 416, and then should count up by 2 after that. Is that what we see? 388, 402, 416, 430. No, that's right, because we have these 3 layers are occupied. And then after that, it just counts up by 2. So far, this looks correct. However, something is happening. The problem is we have index 201. So the span is 202. Well, hold on. Why are we here? Why are we way all of a sudden at the end here? Yeah, I'm thrashing this index value somehow. Somehow I'm really screwing this up. So what is this? 0 times 3 plus 2 minus 1. So this says indices 1. That's layer 2. Layer 2. Here, let me see. I need to see what tile layer means. Int layer. It's just an int. Great. So 0, 1, 2. I think this minus 1 is erroneous. Hey, Adagon. Appreciate it. Jacob, hashtag game dev. Yeah, seriously. How's it going, Adagon? Double hydrate. I could use it, thanks. New slimes just dropped? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You're always doing so much. All right, so yeah, I think I don't understand what's going on down here. So let's try to think through it, because I think this is where our problem is when we're actually encoding the tiles. So we get the index for this tile by saying, give me the starting index. Oh, hang a bell. All right, let me see this new slime. Oh, shit. Those are looking good. I like the little slime knights. I like the little moon slimes too. The Pomo dog slime. All right. Pomo the dog. These are very good. Thank you for sharing those. You got any crazy jam plans? I know Global Game Jam starts next week. Or maybe even this weekend. I get confused about how Global Game Jam is supposed to work. I ain't doing it. You were doing Brackies and then D2? Okay, so you're going to do Brackies. When's Brackies Jam? Yeah, I'm excited for D2 Jam. Or was Brackies running right now? It is, isn't it? Oh, no, it starts in 23 days. Submissions open from February 15th to February 22nd. Oh, that's a nice short one. I'm out of town that weekend, or I'd be maybe kind of tempted to do that this time. Glad I'm out of town that weekend. It saves me the trouble of thinking about that. Oh yeah, I saw Bad Cop was talking about big mode. That's big mode. Big mode's kind of a long jam. Jan 29th to February 7th. Oh, maybe not that long. That's just, what, a week? That's coming up, though. Oh, it's cool. It's one of those where it's like 2 weekends in the week between. I actually really like that. I really only want to do jams that have like a solo category, though. I'm such an antisocial. Just gotta quit your job. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't like competing against teams. I like having a solo category. All my favorite jams do. I mean, the easy answer is that I should just join a team of people I respect. I'm just very anti-team. I don't know. There's nothing to explain it rationally. The only 2 jams that matter. Yeah. I think this year, I'm locked in this year for sure for Down to Jam. Both versions of Down to Jam. The spring and the fall ones. So that's 2. I'll probably do Ludum Dare for the spring Ludum Dare. I almost never get to do the fall one because it's always on a weekend that I'm busy. And I'll probably do a summer solo development jam. I'll do a solo development jam. I'm not sure which one. I'm tempted to do the summer. My summer's kind of late. What country am I in? The US of A. I'm in California. We should be considered our own country. We have like the 6th or 7th biggest GDP or something like that. Oof. Thanks, Adagon. If you find someone who's in Canada, you can hire them. Ah, I see. Yeah. Gotta worry about that. All right, so something's going wrong here. I think the header stuff is all fine, but when it comes to actually recording the tile data, we're running into a problem. This should work okay, though, because what we're doing is we're saying, okay, what's the current starting index for this layer? Okay, add 6 to that, because we've just registered a tile there. And we're figuring out our index by saying, okay, I gotta figure out how we're recording this tile.layer thing, where this number is coming from. I want to know if it's 0 based or 1 based. Like, where do we start? Guess I could figure that out somewhere in here. All right, so we have our tile data. Tiles.add, hall key, tile. W minus 1. So what is the hall key.w deal? And why are we subtracting 1 from it? Halls.keys. I think there's a convention here that like, oh, we're never applying the bytes per layer thing. That's not good. Maybe that's the problem. Where are we supposed to be doing that here? So shorts, index, convert to int, indices, index, indices, index. 1 plus counts times 6. Indices times unsafe.size of the short. Yeah, okay. How am I doing on time? Not great. This is not looking like we're gonna solve this today, which is fine because I also allocated tomorrow to work on this. I knew this performance thing was gonna be a week, or you know, a stream week, which hopefully we'll be done with this then. I'm gonna keep looking at this for a minute, but we are getting towards the end here. This is my least favorite thing to do, managing like low-level data like this. You gotta chase that performance, you know. Gotta slay the dragon. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about this tile.layer -1 thing. Tile.level times tile layer count plus tile.layer -1. It sounds like the layer thing is we get 1 for X, 2 for Y, 3 for Z. And I'm subtracting it, so it just becomes 0, 1, 2. Because we're also subtracting 1 here. So, like, this seems correct. I just don't see where I'm deciding this. The W. Hull key. For each hull key in hulls.keys. Alright, so that happens higher up. Okay, block hull types. Hulls. Next tags. New vector 4i relative position int block.face.x. Yeah, okay, so it is 1. So x is 1. Okay, I'm okay with this. Okay, so the -1 is correct then. The real question is, are we doing the rest of this correctly here? Okay. I want to see this data a little more. I want to look at this data. Give me a look into the data here. Why we get to this point. So index is 201. And we get that by looking at indices 1. So this is happening when we hit the Y face of the tile for some reason. So what does indices 1 look like? 207. The 200 doesn't sound right. Oh, but that's because we modified it. It was 384, which is the correct number, and then we add 6 to it. No, that gives us 390. How the fuck do we get to... Or it's not 384. What's 384 divided by 2? 192. I don't know what's happening. This might be something I, like, magically figure out in the shower. So we get this index. We pull from indices here. So 1 is 207. You know what's You know, the likeliest thing is that this shorts array isn't the right size. Bytes 404, so the span is 202. 404 is right? We've decided. 404 or 202 is 193 plus 6 plus 6. No, that's not it. That's not right either. Oh no, it's... So it's 193. Six, so 199. Yeah. Okay, well, rip. I gotta look at this more. I'm gonna call it here. It's time for me to, unfortunately, return to my day job. Gotta do some errands, grab some lunch. But we'll be doing this some more tomorrow. So sorry, it's kind of been boring. Not much visual stuff going on. But you know, sometimes you gotta put on your wellies and kind of wade into the debugger here. Something weird going on. There's a problem somewhere between the chair and the keyboard. Thanks for the stream. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll crack it. We'll crack it eventually, and I'll look at it, and I'll be like, that's so dumb, Dave. How did you do that, Dave? You know what we wouldn't have had to do? We wouldn't have had to do any of this if I was just like, let's do it as one task. But no, I'm like, let's do it as a group task. Making things harder for myself. Appreciate you all hanging out here. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Tomorrow and Saturday, if I don't catch you tomorrow. So, yeah, we'll get through this. And then we'll be on to the next thing. And we'll just keep doing that. And someday we'll have a game. It'll be crazy. We'll be like, where'd this come from? Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you all next time. Bye.